Well, this is going to be a treat because we're going to dig in with the great Scotty McCreery, a guy that won American Idol at just 17 years old. Yeah, how do you like them apples? Won American Idol at 17 years old. Then top of the Billboard charts. I mean, so he's already accomplished countless things in the musical world, thriving in music before he's even 20. Then he faces, as we all do, some adversity. His record label leaves him. Now he's dug in, and he's back. He's better than ever with some extraordinarily good tunes, working on a new album. And I love when we dig in, I love talking to people about how they deal with adversity because it reveals character. Anybody can get through the good times. So we're going to dig in with the great Scotty McCreery in just a couple of minutes, and we're only able to do so thanks to our presenting sponsor, New Country Auto Group. Talk about it. Actually, they're so stellar, I don't even know if they ever face adversity. I mean, that's how good they are when it comes to customer service. There's any type of automotive service. I mean, A, B, C, D, all through the alphabet. Headed by family-owned company, headed by the great Jared the Nooch Cantanucci. This guy screams and bleeds character. Was a fine hockey player at Shattuck St. Mary's. I've mentioned it in previous Digging In episodes. The Nooch, as he's affectionately called. I'm not sure if his wife calls him that, but over 150 points in 50 games one year. Goes to Harvard, works on the cerebral nature of who he is, and elected to call it a day on his hockey career, which had been outstanding at that point in time. And now he's part of the finest auto group in the country. No doubt about it. You're talking about dealerships in Connecticut, New York, Maryland, Pennsylvania, right on down to Florida. All sorts of top-tier automotive suppliers, whether it be Mercedes, Porsche, Ferrari, Lexus. I'm only naming a Maserati. I'm only naming a few. That's how good these guys are, top to bottom, stem to stern, A to Z. The New Country Auto Group. newcountry.com. Elite with a capital E. Zim's Vodka. Zim's Vodka. Woo. Boy, you want to talk about smooth. I never really could because of hockey, but I went to a ski resort in northern Michigan when I didn't have hockey, and they had a slope. It was called Nub's Knob. They had a slope called Smooth Sailing. One of my favorite hills. I always did well on that slope with my skis and the moguls. Well, Smooth Sailing was maybe as smooth as it was, 1% as smooth as Zim's Vodka. Smoothest vodka on the planet. Terry Olson, the great Terry Olson, the founder, the owner of Zim's, Notre Dame Hound hockey player, forward like the great Rod Brindamore, who was a Hound in Wilcox, Saskatchewan. Terry went on to play Western Michigan University, and then, really with success, did a bunch of different things in the business world before saying, I'm going to get in the vodka business. But with humility, he diligently went to Poland, where his vodka is produced, learned all that you need to learn to be a difference maker. It's potato-made vodka. So he became a potato head in all the right ways. And Zim's Vodka has a couple of different levels. They're all outstanding. But their Zim's 59 is right there on the summit of Kilimanjaro, of Everest. So good. So good. Wayne Gretzky was playing a golf course that exclusively served Zins at the Tiki Hut in Columbus, a great track called Double Eagle. He liked it so much. He said, what is this? It was the Zim's 59. He signed the bottle. You can see that on their Instagram handle. So if the great one endorses it, need I say more? God knows he's on that thing, that cup many times here for you YouTube viewers. Zim's with an I, vodka.com. And finally, Data 443 software. Boy, have they ever made technology, game planning, anything with regards to knowing where you need to be, when you need to be there, on your phone. They make it routine and elementary for a first grader like myself. And they're great Caniacs, the people at Data 443. So I really encourage you to try to get tech savvy like I have since I began digging in. Data443.com. So without further ado, we now, after my brother Tim Tracy's catchy digging in song, in concert with the iconic Caniac, Neil Diamond, we will then dig in, speaking of music, with the great Scotty McCreery.
Lace them up, let's start the show. We're digging in with Tripp. 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 We're digging in with Tripp today, yeah.
Do you know, the fact that I'm about to dig in with the great Scotty McCreery, it just couldn't come at a better time, because we're going to talk Canes hockey, we're going to talk adversity, we're going to talk music. But what do we always talk about to start the show? How does my guest, in this case, a phenomenal musician and a fantastic Caniac, how does Scotty McCreery define digging in?
Digging in, man, you just got to give it your all. You know, it's no holds back. It's just going at it 100%, 110%. So whatever it takes. Scotty,
I mean, you're 1,000% invested in the Carolina Hurricanes. Last night was a tough one. It's all about move forward. What's it like for you as a fan watching these games?
Oh, it's exciting. I mean, we've got a man cave here at the house, and we had some buddies over, and, you know, it was, everybody's excited. Everybody's fired up. It's playoff hockey. There's nothing like playoff hockey. I mean, I've gone to playoff football games and playoff baseball games, but there's nothing like the intensity of playoff hockey. So, we can't wait. And, so fired up and ready to rock. I feel like we're in the arena, even though we can't be there right now.
How do you see this series against Boston so far? If it's going to turn, I believe it will, in Carolina's favor, how does that happen?
Yeah, these guys know what it takes to win. They made a deep run last year, and they're coached by, Stanley Cup winner, captain of the team. So they're ready to rock. They know what it takes. Third period, since Roddy's been around, I haven't seen that happen before. Yeah. So that's an anomaly. Let's just forget about that and remember the grit and the grind those guys have and have shown night in and night out. So they got it in the tank.
Scotty, it's interesting because you know what I was thinking about today? Being on the bus in Edmonton after the Canes got trounced in Game 6. I mean, trounced. And they came back in Game 7 and played their best game of the entire season. So I think we all need to remind ourselves of that right now. When did you first become, you're a great NC State Wolfie, when did you first become a Hurricanes fan?
Yeah, I guess, I grew up in Garner, which is, 20 minutes here from Raleigh, and that's right next door. So the Canes, they moved here, from Hartford, and then went to Greensboro, and then they came to, I guess at that time it was the Raleigh Entertainment Sports Arena. And so once they came to Raleigh, we were all in. We'd go to the games, and I remember, Stanley Cup Finals. I was, school age, elementary school. Parents let me stay up. We were fired up. So, I've just kind of always been a Canes fan since I was a kid.
Well, I guess it's fitting because you mentioned Rod. Of course, nobody will ever wear 17 again for the Carolina Hurricanes. And my brother, you were 17 when you won American Idol. So that ties 17 and 17. When did you, at what age did you first identify that you loved music?
Yeah, it's just something I've always done. There's not a time that I remember not singing. My folks will tell a story when I was at my 1-year-old checkup and I was humming a nursery rhyme. They would sing to me to the doctor. The doctor was like, man, I've never seen that before. I grew up with it. Both my parents sang in the choir at church when I was growing up. And when I was 5, my grandma gave me an Elvis Presley cassette, and I just wore that thing out, and I'd just sing Elvis nonstop. And that's kind of where I started singing. So, yeah.
Did you play any particular instruments or a bunch when you were a kid?
Mainly guitar. I did a little bit of piano, but it was my folks made me do piano before I could take guitar. So I was kind of just doing that so I could get to the guitar. So I've always played that and kind of grew up around town and in school just playing and singing.
Scotty, I have tried to sing historically to save a couple of failed relationships. And so my question is, coming from the guru, it's almost like goal scoring in hockey. Is it God-given? Can you develop it? Or is it a combination of both?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's a little bit of both for sure. There's definitely, natural talents out there that you're like, you can tell, that they're not trained. That's just them. They just got it. But no, there's definitely folks that, can work on it, can develop it. For me, I grew up in chorus and choir at school with a great teacher in the Raleigh area, Meredith Covington. And she developed us to a T. She was a great teacher and kind of really taught me how to sing as opposed to me just kind of doing whatever I was doing before. So yeah, you can always learn a little bit.
When you're on stage or when you're recording, like a hockey player, again, hitting the ice, if you have any nerves, does it change your voice at all?
Yeah, if you got the nerves, yeah. For sure. I can go back and see my more nerve-wracking time singing. And I can tell, you're a little shaky there in that verse, singing. For me, it's singing the national anthem. That's just always been like a intimidating thing for me because I wanted to, I revere it and I want it to be, a great thing. And there's thousands of people, I've sang it. Game 1 of the World Series back when it was the Rangers and Cardinals. That was, talk about nerve-wracking. And then to make it even more nerve-wracking, my microphone wasn't working when I started. And Albert Pujols turns around and he says, "No mic." I was just, oh my, I was 17 or 18, freaked out. But yeah, if you're nervous, you got to power through, but it can definitely affect you.
Scotty, I remember when you delivered the goods with our great anthem in that World Series. I think about renditions of the greatest anthem on the planet. Whitney Houston, God rest her soul. But that wasn't, she didn't do the anthem, right? What did she do? Did she do the anthem, America the Beautiful? I'll never forget it.
The anthem. Iconic.
Yeah. Iconic. Absolutely iconic. Gosh, I remember in college, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but our whole hockey team at Harvard, that's when the movie The Bodyguard came out. And us, a bunch of, guys in the locker room were talking, what a movie. Yeah. What a movie, what a voice. What was the best anthem rendition you ever saw before you did the World Series yourself?
Oh my goodness. You kind of took it right there, Whitney Houston. That's who you go to and you watch. You're like, how does she do it? How can I just take little pieces of what she did? Because she crushed it. I don't know. I think Demi Lovato did a really good one at Super Bowl, I believe it was. So there's a bunch out there for sure.
How did you, speaking of, because this is something we often talk about in digging in, and we recently had Patrick Sharp, wish he had been a Cane, but 3-time Stanley Cup winner. And he talked about his mom telling him at a young age, just believe, 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 believe. You go in the big stage that is American Idol, and you deliver the goods. You grab the moment doesn't grab you. What was it in your makeup, maybe your family upbringing that allowed you at 17, my brother, to go out and shine and utilize that pressure to shine?
Yeah, I definitely think it goes back to, how I was raised. And my parents, they were always just believers in whatever me and my sister Ashley did. And they always supported us from day one. And my sister Ashley, she can sing like a bird as well. She's a little shy, a little introverted, but and she was 3 years older than me, but would always let me hang with the older crowd, was never embarrassed by me being around. So that gave me some confidence for sure. And then I really think baseball helped me a lot too. I was a pitcher at Garner High School. And as a pitcher, all eyes are on you. The pressure's on you. You control the pace of the game. Pitch by pitch, it goes through your hands. So that was, we might have had 15 people watching our games. It wasn't quite the American Idol crowd, but it still was pressure at a young age for sure.
What couple of things? What's Ashley doing these days?
Yeah, so she's graduated NC State, and she is now working at credit union over there and crushing it. She just started like a few few weeks ago, and she's already just working her way up, passing everything, flying colors. So she's crushing it right now.
And we can assume she's a Caniac.
Oh, a huge Caniac, absolutely. If you ever see me, I see every now and then y'all catch me in my seats, and
Yeah.
a lot of times she's right there with me. So big Caniac.
The great Ashley. What about how long did you play baseball? And did you hit okay too, aside from throwing a couple different pitches on the mound?
Yeah, I mean, I like to think so. I was a pretty slow runner. It was like I was carrying a sack of potatoes around me when I was running. But not hitting wise. I mean, my freshman and sophomore year, I was like second on the team in batting average, and I think second or third in RBIs. And then my junior year, coach came up to me and said, "Hey, man, we want you to just be a pitcher only." I didn't take too kindly that. Might have thrown the glove a little bit and had some words, but it worked out, and I had a blast my senior year. I guess I missed my junior year, but yeah.
What was of all the songs you sang en route to winning American Idol, what was the one that you thought you really, well, we just talked about baseball, no pun intended, but you really hit out of the park?
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple that stick out to me. The one that I don't go back and watch a lot of my Idol stuff. I was young and goofy. I'm still goofy, but I didn't really know what I was doing, so sometimes I'll cringe watching them. But You've Got a Friend, Carole King week. I think I really did a good job there. And then Gone by Montgomery Gentry, I think, was one that kind of got me going a little bit. I was always kind of just standing in one place. That one got me moving around a bit and working the stage. So
that is pretty sweet. Okay, so you win the crown. I have to asking you, like, in some ways, it's a great thing because you become a household name, but can it be a curse too? Because you almost have to separate yourself, as strange as that sounds, from American Idol.
Oh yeah, you're spot on. It's that was one of the biggest hurdles for me. I think once I got to Nashville and started trying to just record my first album and be seen as kind of serious, like a serious artist, not just the kid, tough way to put it, but that won the karaoke show singing covers. They want to make sure you're the real deal, and can you write a country song? Can you deliver a country song? What's your appeal when you're going out and playing concerts as opposed to on TV? So that was a big hurdle, and I think that's kind of the ticket to after the shows. Always being grateful for it. I'll forever, be indebted to American Idol and the opportunity that they gave me. But you do have to kind of separate yourself for sure.
So I want to move forward to 2016. You've been incredibly successful, top of the Billboard charts right out of the gate, 2011. And now your record label, Mercury, I believe, they decide you part ways. And so now, Scotty, you're on your own. You're facing adversity. You've got to dig in. And this is where I think it ties into your hockey team right now, the Carolina Hurricanes. Walk me through those circumstances and what you learned about yourself and those around you. It gets me pumped up just even asking you about it.
Yeah, man. It's 2016 was really, it was something else and definitely unexpected. I'd written a bunch of songs for this next album we were making, and in my opinion, some of the best stuff I'd ever written. And as we were kind of getting ready for first single, we had some disagreements, me and the label, with what should be the first single. And we eventually went with one that wasn't technically my choice, didn't work out, but we just come off a top 10s with a platinum and a gold single, and I kind of thought we were rocking. But all of a sudden, just one day, they called and said, "Hey, we're out." So just unexpected, and it's no secret that the American Idol contract, kind of sucks. Like, you kind of not exactly favorable to the artist. Again, they got you there. But normally it's one artist and one label. But after Idol, I was signed to 3 labels. So I technically only been dropped by one, and the other 2 didn't want to drop me. But I couldn't do country music with the other 2 like I could with. So it was, long story, it was a hot mess. And it took a full year. One of the companies went bankrupt, so then bankruptcy court got brought in. So it just seemed like there was no light at the end of the tunnel. But at the end of the day, I had, like I said, what I thought was the best songs I'd ever written, 5 More Minutes was in there, In Between was in there. And I said, guys, we're going to go in there, and if we can't go get a new label right now because of the legal stuff we're going through, let's just put the song out there and see what happens. I know I've got friends at radio. And just little by little, it just started. We were, going out there and playing all these shows and getting after it, digging in. And eventually it got all the way to the top after all that craziness. So I'm talking a lot, but it was a heck of a year.
I come home. I want to ask you about 5 more minutes because I came home from game 2 last Thursday night, and I'm all pumped up. I see you're all pumped up. The Canes, I mean, virtually everything that went against them that possibly could, including the officiating. But they found a way. They didn't feel sorry for themselves. They put one foot in front of the other, and they dug in. So I see a couple of your tweets, and now I'm like, this is sweet. Scotty McCreery. And so then I couldn't sleep because I probably had a cup of coffee on the air, and I've got the adrenaline going. So I must have listened to 5 more minutes, 8 or 9, maybe that's even on the low side, consecutive times. What a tune. So I need from start to finish, I need to know how this song came together.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you listening, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I tell you, it's still my favorite song I've ever written. The day I wrote it, it was February 5th, 2015. Wrote it with my buddies Frank Rogers and Monty Criswell. I left Frank's house and I tweeted that day. I said, I think I just wrote my favorite song I've ever written. And little did I know it'd take 2 or 3 more years for it to ever get out. But that song just came out of me talking about my granddaddy Bill. Got born in West Virginia, lived in Pinehurst, North Carolina my whole life. So where I learned to play golf down there with him. And he just passed away like 2 weeks prior to writing the song. So I just came to the room that day with Frank and Monty, was just talking about him and just all the good times we had. And just like, what I'd do if I could have one more conversation with him or play one more round of golf with him. And Monty Criswell was the guy that was just like, it's just like you want 5 more minutes with the guy. I said, that's exactly right. And that's the song we're going to write today.
Wow. What made your grandfather so special? What made him such a special guy?
Yeah, everybody loved him. He was just always smiling. He was a ranger over there at Foxfire down in Pinehurst. And one of the club pros the other day, I was playing down at Dormy Club in Pinehurst. And he was like, did your granddad, was he a ranger out of Foxfire? And I was like, yeah. He was like, man, he was just the man. He loved everybody. My grandma, Paquita, I mean, she's a Puerto Rican and a West Virginian come together. And it sounds like the start of a joke, but it was true love for, over 50 years. And they just set heck of an example for me and all the grandkids and the children, just for what love is. And so I just learned a lot from the guy, golf being one of the littlest things.
The smallest thing. Now, quick comic relief. I mean, your grandfather, if the foursomes were playing slow in Pinehurst, would he let them be, or would he?
Oh, no. He was by the book, man. He was by the book.
So when it comes together, I mean, again, this is a novice here asking you this question, obviously, but in terms of lyrics, writing a song, how does it come together, Scotty, the words, and then of course the lyrics themselves? Do they happen at the same time? Does it always change? How does that work?
Yeah, it's different. It's different with every song. Sometimes it just starts with the melody in your head. Sometimes it starts with the hook you have at the end of the chorus, or a line or a title you've got. I mean, if you look at my phone, I've got hundreds of titles or sayings that I've heard that I'm like, oh, I could write that. Probably 90% of them are terrible ideas, but every now and then you have, a good little golden nugget in there. So with this one, I think it was just, we talked about my granddaddy Bill at first, so that we knew where the song was going to end before we even started writing it. So it was like, how do we get there? So we started as a kid and kind of grew up with different stories through life. So, but it's different with every song.
How do you balance it between songs you write yourself or when you rely on other people to help you in that process?
Yeah, for me, I love my preferred way of writing. I love to have an idea. A lot of times, one of my writers that I write with will bring an idea to the table too and write that song. But it's always cool when you have an idea, you kind of work it through in your head. You might write a part of a chorus or part of a verse, and you bring it to the room that day. In Nashville, Nashville is a songwriter's town. Like, the artists live there because the songwriters are there. So There's just so much talent over there. So you bring an idea and, it's a blank sheet of paper at first, and 3 hours later you got a piece of art, which I love.
Okay, you just segued me perfectly, I think, into my next question. Okay, so Roman Josi, the captain of the Predators, okay, he married a girl from my hometown, Allie Ottaway, wonderful girl. Her dad and I play in golf tournaments together, and her mom is actually my dentist. She just fixed a chipped tooth. So they're living, I think they're borrowing one of Sheryl Crow's horses right now, where they're living in Nashville. So some of these great country stars like yourself, probably Predator fans, give me a couple that you're digging in with, and you're right in the process of converting to being Caniacs.
Oh, wow. So a lot of Nashville is a few years ago. I mean, they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals, and I mean, it's a big Predators town. I know, like Tim McGraw, big Predator guy. Keith Urban's a big Predator guy. One guy that I think I probably have a good chance of converting to being a big-time Caniac might already be Darius Rucker. He's one of my good buddies, and matter of fact, just joined a fantasy football league with him. So that's going to be my mission. We're going to he's a South Carolina guy, technically Carolina Hurricanes.
Yep.
North Carolina for sure. But I think we have a chance at converting Mr. Rucker to being a big Caniac.
Do you know, this is hilarious. What a small world. Okay, so where I am, right over here through this wall, when I first moved in here, Scotty, in like 98 or 99, Jeff O'Neill on the Hurricanes at the time was living across.
First Hurricanes, like one of my great memories, he came out of the penalty box. It's like my first Hurricanes memory. Came out of the penalty box, the puck's gone, they get it down to him and dekes the guy and scores. I'm like, this is my favorite player. Jeff O'Neill was a dog. He was great. Sorry.
Okay, so this is great. This is hilarious because he lived across the hall, like he's Jerry, I'm Kramer, vice versa.
Oh, wow.
And all we would do is go across the hall to each other. And, from the Seinfeld episode too, we just keep calling each other bastards. You know what? You're a real bastard. No, you're a real bastard. And okay, so after one season, Scotty, he says, because he was tight with, I don't know if he's the manager or if the financial guy for Darius and the Hootie and the Blowfish, the great Gus Guzzler.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go down to Charleston. Says, you bastard, we got to go down and see them play. So hometown, we're with them right before they go on stage. And this is the only time I ever experienced this. And I had a shot as they were getting ready to go on stage. And that was a pretty cool experience for, a guy that's never been through that before. So I had that with Darius, and he loved the King. You can convert him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We got to get him down to a game to do something because he'd be all about it. Gus is he's a good guy. He's at my golf club too, and we play every now and then. So that's awesome, man. Darius' shows too, man. If you got to hang right before, they're the most fun I've ever had is at a Darius show. So yeah.
The only thing is I thought it was sort of a weak shot. I mean, I always think about rock stars, I think it's going to be something heavy. It was something fruity. And, I was like, really? But they came out and dug in. Hootie and the Boy, they dug in that night in Charleston.
Absolutely.
So Scotty, what are you working on right now?
Yeah, so we're neck deep in the new single. So we're still working away. The cool thing about just technology nowadays is that you don't have to all be in the same room like you used to make an album. So I'm in my little home studio right now. So they're sending mixes to me, and luckily we recorded like most everything before all the shutdown started. So we're basically almost have the album done. We picked the first single just to prove the single art. It'll come out probably early October, late September. We're still figuring that out, but we're full steam ahead, man. It's, as soon as you get one song done on the charts, it's just like, all right, get a week to celebrate. What's the next thing? So, we're working away.
Do you know the name of the album yet, or is that TBD?
TBD on the name of the album. I know the name of the single, but the label hasn't given me total. Can't quite say that yet out there. But Triple Tigers, man, they're my new label. I've been with for the last couple of years, and they crush it, man. I've never been happier to be with a team like that. So it's pretty awesome.
I like these guys. I don't even know them. Triple Tigers, they're called?
Triple Tigers. Yeah, it's like a joint thing with 30 Tigers, which is another label in town, and Triple H, which is my management company. So it's pretty cool thing they got going on.
Sweet. Now, when you promote this album or any other one, when you go out on stage, you know, like I've always said, I'd love to be a rock star for a week, you know, and do you get nervous?
On stage? Yeah. For me, it's before I go on stage, like the moments right before the intro music is playing, they announce you. That's when the butterflies fly. But as soon as I get on stage and the spotlight and all the lights are on, outside of the stage, I'm the guy at a party that is in the corner of the room just kind of sipping. Like, I'm not very much a center of attention guy, but for some reason the stage is just comfortable to me. And I feel at home once the first song kicks in. So, yeah.
Always, or like, you know, for instance, say with hockey games, you know, ideally you want to start, say, the way the Hurricanes did in game 1 against the Rangers, you know, big hit, big goal, fight from Justin Williams. Yeah. But they don't all go like that. Sometimes you need something, you know, you're a little bit rusty, you know, energy's not on your side. Do you ever have those shows, even though we'd never know it, where you've got to do something early, first couple of songs, you know, to kick yourself into gear?
Oh yeah, there's definitely, I mean, it's like you said, it's with anything. Some shows, you're just on fire, and some shows you just feel like you don't got it. You're looking out in the crowd, they're smiling, they're clapping, they're enjoying themselves, but in your mind, like, man, it's kind of rough tonight, you know, but nobody would know it. I don't know. I have like I've got a mic behind, like right by the drum riser that only the band can hear. So I pull it on there and I'll say, man, I ain't got it tonight, boys. And sometimes it's just something that my drummer or my band leader, Jeff, or, you know, one of these guys say, come on, man, you're crushing it. Just a little word of encouragement or something, a pat on the back. And, you know, it's just like you got each other's backs. I think that's the main thing. And we're all in this together. It's kind of the way we approach it on stage. So, yeah, for sure.
How do you see teammates in a rock band being a true team? You know, your experience in baseball, or say observing you know, what you admire, you know, when you've liked some of your favorite Hurricanes teams over the year.
Yeah, you know, I think for me and my band, most of us have been together about the back half of 2011. We've been together 9 years, coming up on a decade. So, and, you know, I think it's just, again, like I said, knowing you got each other's back, trusting each other. I think trust is a huge thing for a team. You know, as a pitcher, it's like, man, I know I can throw this over the plate, and if he gets a piece of it, I know my shortstop, I know my outfield's got me. Like, I don't have to worry about that. It's like in hockey, I don't, you know, too technical, but the guy's going to go over here and make a play. He knows that Slavin's going to be behind him to, you know, to back him up. So just that kind of thing. The trust, I think, is a huge thing. It's
a colossal thing. And if the Hurricanes are going to come back in this series against Boston and write a great script between now and Sunday, you're going to have that trust, that blind faith. That's why it's a team sport. And, you know, when the Hurricanes are at their best, they have that. And it's a very astute point. If you ever went to the band and you said, hey, guys, I like where we're at, but I got a new guy, Tripp Tracy. I want to add him. He's going to give a little zip. What instrument or what role would you perhaps foresee me relishing and hopefully thriving in?
Dude, absolutely. Well, you've already told me you tried the singing thing to a couple failed relationships, so we won't put background singer for you. I don't know, man. I could see you crushing the saxophone, man. Just crushing the sax solos, and I could totally see that. So you would thrive in that for sure.
That was my first instrument growing up.
No way.
Yes, and cool. being a pure Michigander, I've had the pleasure because his daughter went to school with my little brother. I've had a chance to spend some time with the great alto Reed and Bobby Seeger's band. Yeah. So, you know, the old sax.
Okay. Luckily, I don't think we'd have to. We wouldn't have to move anybody in the band. We could just add you on, man. We got a spot on the bus for you.
Oh, I could definitely help team chemistry on the bus.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's amazing.
So when you look at this Hurricanes bunch right now, because anybody can get through the good times. It's adversity that reveals character. We've just talked about what you found out about yourself when, the parting of the ways with your previous record label in 2016. You're part of the team with your band, your support group. What gets you through the tough times?
I think it's just belief. Like the Joel Embiid thing, trust the process. I know these guys with Rod at the helm they're well conditioned. I mean, they know what to do. They've got what it takes. They've got the grit, the grind. I mean, me and my buddy Colin were just talking kind of after the qualifying round, like, man, I love this team. Like, this team makes you just want to dig in with them and want to be a fan and root them on, because you go to the games, you can feel it. You can see these guys, they got each other's backs. And you can tell they care. They're really putting in the effort. You can tell they care. And I think that's what the fans want to see, that they care. The fans they're so invested. The team is just crushing it out there, and you love to see it. So, and with guys, I mean, we got a great leadership core. We got great young guys. I mean, I think they got all the pieces. It's just kind of putting it all together and trusting yourself. And like you said, in a couple of days, we could be evened up and ready to rock.
No doubt about it. And I just let you know, and you knew from social media that Jordan Stahl, after the big hit from Charlie McAvoy, he practiced today. Hopefully he's going to play tomorrow. I want to ask you, because your Christian faith is a centerpiece to everything, who you are, what you are. And I've talked to Jordan Stahl about that. I've talked to Jacob Slavin about it on Digging In. I've talked to James Reimer. Can you tell me why it is the very foundation of your life and how it applies to your musical career and its all-encompassing impact in Scotty McCreery?
Yeah, I mean, it is the foundation of my life, and that goes for my personal life with me and my wife, or family, or my career, anything. So it's what I try to base every decision based off of, and look to it and lean on it. And the biggest thing I think that faith and my faith provides me is hope. I mean, I know there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, even in a year like 2020, when it doesn't exactly feel like things are going well, or it seems like everything's crumbling. Through my faith, I've always got hope that there are better days and better times and a better place. Just ready to go. So hope, I think, is the biggest thing. If you don't have hope, what do you have,
What about, because like last night, I mean, I know Rod so well. I bet he didn't sleep very well, and I bet none of those guys slept very well. And I've always liked, easier said than done, the phrase, let go, let God. How do you let go of things when, there's nothing you can do about it and you just have to move forward? How do you let go, let God?
Yeah, it's tough. Like you said, if you want to, as a human, as just who we are, we want to be in control of everything. And there's just some things you just can't control. So you've got to just convince yourself to, hey, I've done what I can do. Now let me trust. Let me trust God. Let me trust what I've done, the work I put into it, the prayers I prayed. So it's, like you said, easier said than done, because we always want to have a hand in things, always want to control the outcomes of what's going to happen. But sometimes you just can't,
How did you mentioned Gabby, the great Gabby McCreery. How did you guys meet?
Yeah, we go way back. We met kindergarten class, actually. So we grew up together, met when we were 5 years old, all through elementary school, middle school, high school. I'd always had my eye on her. I guess she kind of had her eye on me a little earlier, because we still have her kindergarten diary, in one of these rooms, maybe in the attic somewhere. She has Mrs. Gabi McCreery written in hearts all over it. So I guess it was one of those fate things that we ended up together all these years later.
How did you propose? And then one would think that you'd have to be singing. I mean, I think about it, people are giving up faith that I'm going to at 46 get married, but once my first dance with my beautiful wife, it's going to be her choice. But how did you propose, and what was the first dance? What song?
Yeah, so the way I proposed, we love going to the mountains in North Carolina, Blue Ridge Mountains in the summer. I always went as a kid to go ski and to go do stuff in the wintertime. And a few years ago, we went in the summer. We're like, man, this is awesome. So we love to hike, and we found a little spot. It's called Little Lost Cove Cliff Trail. And we didn't know where we were going, but it took us up these beautiful cliffs. And the minute we got there, I said, one day I'm going to propose to her here. And so we took her up to the cliffs. And I'd written a song 2 weeks prior to that because I'd had it all planned out for a while. A song called This Is It. It was strictly going to be for her. It wasn't going to go on the album or anything. And then my label heard it, and they said, oh, no, we're going to put that out, and it's going to go to radio. And ended up being my second number one on a song that I really didn't intend on anybody to hear but her. So pretty cool. But yeah, so I didn't sing that day, but I played her the song. And then our first dance was to Elvis, Can't Help Falling in Love. So had to bring it back to the king.
That's called pushing all the right buttons, my friend, my brother. I wasn't going to go this route, but now I absolutely want to. It's like this Hurricanes team. I think one of the reasons that the Caniac Nation is what it is because they feel they've gotten to know the players that feel that connection. So whether it be This Is It, 5 more minutes, can you walk me through the process of having the courage to write songs that are so personal, so real for you and your life experiences and what's nearest and dearest that pulls at your heartstrings?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I love talking about my wife. I love talking about my family and just kind of what we're up to, and kind of my way to talk about things just through writing songs. I'm always geared that way. So for me, I just write what I know. I write what I live. I write what I do. So whether it be 5 more minutes talking about my grandfather or This Is It, I just try to keep things real. I feel like folks are pretty good about spotting something that's phony. So I write what's real and to me, and I hope it applies to other people. I hope other people can relate to it. And it's very cool when I get people that say, "Hey, we're using This Is It as our first dance song." I'm like, man, that's awesome. A song that is so special for me. My wife is now special to another couple on their big day. So I'm just really glad that people can relate, and it really tells me, all the differences you see in the world and all the extremes. It tells me how much more alike we all are than we are different. So pretty cool thing to see.
3 more things, Scotty, and I'll let you go. This one comes from Roddy's wife, a fellow Wolfie, Amy Brindamore. Okay, talking to love her. Talking to her this morning. She may or not have been with her son, I think a future NHL or the great Brooks Brindamore at Dunkin' Donuts. But she said, because she was out in Vegas when the Canes played out there, and she said, she goes, Tripp, I love Scotty so much. I have unconditional love for Scotty. And she knows I'm a people pleaser because I am. And you know what? Sometimes that can get you in trouble. So you do the siren out there with the Vegas jersey on. And she said, I guarantee that it's, Scotty's just such a wonderful human. He's a people pleaser. He didn't say no, just like you probably wouldn't say no, Tripp. Am I correct? Is Amy's read correct on that? It's sometimes people pleasing. It comes from the right place, but it gets us in trouble.
I mean, yeah, I totally get it. In hindsight, I should have done the siren, but maybe not worn the jersey. I didn't know I was getting the jersey till like an hour before, that kind of thing. But I knew I was wearing black. But I mean, the Canes wear black all the time. But the in-game host for the Vegas Golden Knights was one of my good buddies in country radio, Big D. He was like, "Hey man," because I texted him. I was like, "We're coming out to Vegas for the game." He's like, "Dude, do the siren." I was like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." Not thinking anything besides just it'd be fun, get to see Big D. But boy, we got to hang out with the players after the game, and I mean, they got after me, man, and rightfully so. I get it, but they were none too happy with me. But yeah, it was a people pleasing kind of thing. It was a lot of fun. Canes got the win. A Justin Williams shootout win. I mean, how amazing is that? Yeah, that was maybe a mistake on my part for Caniac Nation.
Who gave you the best carb job after the game? One Hurricane that, like carved you like a Thanksgiving turkey.
Man, I mean, Aho came up to me. He was just like, "How could you?" Martin Nook really was none too. They all kind of patted me on the back afterwards. But Martin Nook was not. He was just giving me the eye the whole night. Like, are you kidding me? And we'd be hanging out, and just people be looking at me, shaking their heads at me. Nages, he wasn't thrilled either. It was all in good fun, I hope.
Okay, so I am a firm believer that the Hurricanes can climb this mountain against Boston one step at a time. And I will be willing to accept that it would be the air saxophone. You can turn it off and I can just act like do we have your word if the Canes come back? You're putting me on stage with you with the band. You can confirm it with the band with the air saxophone.
100%, man. We'd love to have it. After a big Canes win, it'd be awesome.
Finally, Scotty, this one's for you. Canes come back and win, finish off Game 7 on Sunday. Burrito Supreme, it's going to require a supreme effort. Will you dig in with me at the Taco Bell drive-thru?
Oh, I'd love to, man. I'd be thrilled. I'd have to get a gordita or something.
Oh. They got some type of new grilled cheese deal. Wouldn't that be great? Right after a Game 7 win, you and me at the Taco Bell drive-thru. We got a deal.
Absolutely, man. Let me tell you what, my old basketball coach, Coach K, Keith Berry, he always says it. Said it the other day in our little father-son golf tournament. The only thing better than winning is coming from behind to win. I think the Canes are going to do that.
I totally agree. I can't thank you enough for digging in. I'm so proud to call you a Caniac, but even more proud to call you my friend, my brother. This is a lot of fun, and time is on our side. So thank you for doing this, and can't wait for the future. I can't tell you how much I admire your work as a musician and who you are as a human being. And for the Canes and for Scotty, can't wait to see what unfolds in the coming days, weeks, months, years. Thanks for digging in, partner.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me on, Tripp. And let's get this Game 7 series and let's wrap it up and get the dub. So it's time to watch.
Well, that was cool. That was cool. Can't wait to end up at the Taco Bell drive-thru. What did Scotty say? He's getting a gordita? I'm going to get the menu. That's how much I'm going to dig in. Play the saxophone, the air sax with the band. That's going to be something. Boy, will I grab that musical moment. I know Scotty always will because I think already a household name. He is on the ascent. And I love his unconditional loyalty to the Carolina Hurricanes, how passionate of a Caniac he is. So thank you, Scotty, and thank you to our great sponsors for bringing it to us. Our presenting sponsor, New Country Auto Group, stellar, complete, thorough dealerships in New York, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Maryland, Florida, Ferrari, Mercedes, Lexus, BMW, Maserati. We are just scratching the surface of the all-inclusive nature of an auto group that is the definition of stellar, but has a family-owned, all-inclusive, every customer seems like the most important customer on the planet feel. That has everything to do with one of the owners from the family that owns it, the great Jared the Nooch Cantanucci. He learned what it's like to be a teammate when he flourished at Shattuck St. Mary's, 152 points in 50 games. He was a finisher, but had a team-first mentality, took that to Harvard to hone his academia, and now he's a true maestro for the New Country Auto Group. NewCountry.com. Zim's Vodka, smoothest vodka on the planet, Polish-made, diligently prepared from the great Terry Olson, the owner and founder, being very patient, not thinking that all of a sudden, upon being introduced to vodka, that he knew everything about it. He really went through all the necessary steps to acquire the expertise and education, spending a lot of time in Poland where it is manufactured to make sure the supply chain the production chain has created, no doubt about it, hands down, unanimously, the smoothest vodka on planet Earth. Their top level, Zim's 59, was good enough. I mentioned at the top of the show. Seems like I've had a Zins, not a Zims, a Zins. Oh, it was good enough for Wayne Gretzky. It should be good enough vodka for anybody. Zims with an I, vodka.com. And finally, thank you once again to Data 443 Software. Outstanding work, bringing us from the caveman ages, the tombstone ages, to the current time with regards to tech, with regards to data, game planning, playbooking, anything sports teams using, professional sports teams, the app on the phone, knowing exactly where you should be, when you should be there. If you ever are not present and you have Data 443, you're a moron because they make it the very definition of simple and understandable for a galoot. Data443.com. We encourage all of you on our audio podcast platforms, on our YouTube platforms, to rate us, let us know how we're doing, how we can be better. Thank you once again to the great Scotty McCreery for digging in, and we'll see you the next time.
We're digging in with Tripp today, yeah. Today, yeah. Today, yeah. Today.